Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Africam show. It is wonderful to spend time with all of you. And look where we are at Aldonio, and everything is going on here. Oh, this is so nice. Of course, one of my favorite waterholes. Don't like to choose favorites, but when it's great, it's great. You know that. We've got zebra, oryx, and of course, an elephant having a bit of a drink. You can see that the water is quite low, but this is a pumped pan, so oftentimes you might see a vehicle if you've been watching this camera coming to pump that pan. Make sure there's something for the animals even when it is still dry. Now remember that we are live and interactive, so please send through those questions and comments. Already Bridget McKinney says hello. Hello, Bridget. Thank you for joining us. April Owl says, good morning, everyone. From a sunny Connecticut, you have a glass of cherry iced tea by your side, and you're ready for the show. I have a cup of green tea by my side. It's a bit cold today in Joburg, but we are very lucky that over the last 2 days, we've finally gotten some rain, and Joburg is famous for the thunderstorms. So we've been having some amazing thunderstorms, a little bit unexpected and scary at first because my goodness, you don't know thunder and lightning until you've experienced one of those Joburg storms. But it just was such a wonderful relief. And this marks the beginning of a whole lot of rain coming through. Exactly. Isn't it wonderful, Mindy, to see some oryx here? It's been a while, hasn't it? Grumpy old man, yes, it's her. It's Trishala. I miss saying that actually. It's very hard for me to not say it like I'm one of the Mario brothers. Zygote says namaste, namaste to you too, Zygote. And Darkmane Lover says hello, Trishala. Great to see you. Great to hear your name, Darkmane Lover. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, look at this. We've got another big bull coming through. Oh, that was such a sweet little kind of interaction that we saw there without any touching. All the animals responded to the presence of that bigger bull coming through. Now, generally, I mean, just life, would tell you that the things that are closest to us appear larger than the things that are further away. And even though this first elephant bull is closer to us on this side of the waterhole and closer to the camera, the bull on the other side, even though it's further away, already looks like it's the same size as the bull that was right in front of us. So we know that he's bigger. And as he started to walk through, the smaller bull reacted by turning on his side, and all the oryx moved away from the waterhole. Then things settled, and now they've come back a little bit. That lets us know that this bull is a pretty dominant individual. The poor zebras are just not engaging. There's no method to this, so it's, not a tested theory. But I've always found that the bigger elephants, or the more dominant ones, are the ones that sort of have ownership over that side of the waterhole where the pipe kind of lets water in. Excuse me. And that's because that's a prime location. So when we think about resources, that little pipe there, that's a precious resource. It's fresh, clean water, and that's something that elephants would fight over when trying to keep these resources to themselves. Now, elephants don't hold territories. They live in home ranges, very, very large home ranges. but they still would like to monopolize resources. They still want access to resources, even though they don't keep territories. The whole purpose of a territory is to have exclusive access to resources. But for those animals that have home ranges, it's as if these things that are resources that they don't have exclusive use over, it's almost like that territorial relationship exists in that moment when they are at that resource. So it can be like when an elephant bull comes across a female anestrus, she's a resource. And so if another bull is around, they will fight over that resource in that moment at that time. But they do not have exclusive use of that resource by way of the territory. Oh, how's those rumblings? I love how everyone's just standing by, so weary. Christy, you say you love an elephant rumble. There is nothing like it. There was a time, it was a couple years ago now, when I was in a sighting, and I happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, or maybe the right place at the right time. Not sure yet. But these elephants were very, very angry. And it was two separate herds of elephants that had come together at a waterhole. And then suddenly all hell broke loose and everyone was super angry. I just happened to be in the middle of it. Now, this is a pretty dangerous position to be in because elephants could get angry at you just because you were there at the wrong place at the wrong time. But I mean, we're paying attention and everything, so handling the situation in a safe way. We're just staying put, we're being respectful, we're being quiet, and we're just watching everything unfold. But then this herd comes closer to me. And the other herd that they're fighting with, I say fighting in kind of inverted commas, I don't know what the argument was about. I am now between them. But luckily, the elephants weren't focusing their attention on me, and they were very much focused on each other. It's just that I was parked between them, unfortunately. It just so happened that it was that way. It turns out that one of the little calves, in the mix of everyone drinking together at the waterhole, kind of got mixed up and then went off with the other herd by mistake. And this is what caused the ruckus. But anyway, imagine, Christy, 30 elephants all of them within 20 meters of you. Some of them, 10 meters, but all of them within 20 meters of you. And they are rumbling and communicating with each other. My goodness, I could feel it through my feet. My feet were on the ground, well, not on the ground, but by the pedals. So I was touching the vehicle, and obviously the vehicle is touching the ground. So all those vibrations were coming through the ground, up through the tires, into the metal of the vehicle, and up through my feet. It was insane. It felt like the elephants were talking and it was moving through me. I have never felt something like that before. I imagine maybe if, you happen to be at a construction site where everyone's drilling to the ground, maybe that's what it could feel like, but it was absolutely insane. And that's when I really felt the power of an elephant. I mean, you can see it when they push down trees, when they lock tusks, and you hear that sound. When you just see them, they're so imposing, you can feel that power, but not like this. There you can see it visually, but now I felt it. It was incredible. So, yes, Christy, that's a long-winded way to say I love elephant rumbles too. Things are settling down a little bit now, and the oryx are going in. Casper's Third Ghost says, Happy Tuesday, Trish and everyone. We've got coffee ready for the ride. MG Leopard Spot says, greetings everyone, enjoying ice water currently. It's always a goodie. And Darkman Lover, you say, it's always an elephantastic day when Ellies are on the screen. Oh yes, it is. I kind of find it hilarious. So the rumbling, you can get it every now and then, but the sound of when you've finished your drink and there's just ice left and maybe a slice of lemon and you're, I don't know, 15 years old and you're slurping up the last bits of iced water at the bottom. That's what it sounds like when they drink out of that little inlet or outlet. Cindy, you're welcome. And it was a wonderful and scary experience. And it's one of those things where so we never want to put ourselves in a position where we are aggravating any animal. That's the worst position to be in, not just as somebody who cares about animals, but if you've got guests and it's your duty as a guide to help people enjoy a sighting and enjoy wildlife, that's the worst position to be in, because that's not how you enjoy wildlife. But sometimes it happens because you can't control what animals are doing and the way that they are interacting with one another, and sometimes you just get caught in the middle. Or sometimes you've given the animal plenty of distance and then they still come towards you. And there comes a point where turning the car on and starting to move is the worst option when an animal is close. The best option is to just be quiet, respectful, be ready to react if anything happens. But in that moment, and in any other moment where, you've just been caught up in the situation, you are completely at the mercy of those animals. And it is kind of a beautiful thing. There's nothing you can do anymore. You're just going to have to, not really hope and pray, but you're just going to have to do your best, behave your best, and be super aware of what's happening around you. Because in that moment as well, you have the opportunity to watch something go down that it would otherwise, this opportunity wouldn't be there for you. But that feeling of being absolutely at the mercy of the animals around you is quite a special one, but it's also a very risky one. It's not a position you want to be in. But when it happens and you can deal with it in a calm way, then it is really very, very special. Oh, Jean Gale has arrived. You're late, Jean, but it's okay. You're here with some coffee on a rainy morning while we're here to brighten up your day. Kat, you say good day to me and to everyone else from the Netherlands, and you're ready with a tea with biscuit and, gosh, I can't read, with tea and a biscuit. Very nice. Well, it's all going down here at Old Donyo. So just as we started the show, we had one elephant, we had these oryx, and maybe one or two zebra. Now we have a giraffe coming through who's decided, nay, not for you. And we also had some more zebra come through. There we go. So here in Kenya, which is where Old Donyo is, there's two types of oryx. There's the besa, which is usually found in kind of drier areas. And then you get the fringe-eared oryx, which is the type that we're looking at right now. So Old Donyo is kind of positioned towards the south of Kenya, quite close to the Tanzanian border. And that's generally the areas that you find these fringe-eared oryx. Don't you love this light? It is a cool mixture, Cindy. It really is. And that's one of the reasons that I love this camera. You get all sorts coming down to the waterhole. Now, Kirst said to me that there are some elephants at King's Camp as well, and I haven't been to that camera in a long time. So maybe we can dip back down to South Africa, over to the Timbavati where King's Camp is, and have a look at those elephants. Oh, perfect timing, Trikala. That's half an elephant for you all. So you can see things are looking. Oh, hello. Oh, I'm gonna be quiet because they're so close to the camera. Super gentle as they drinking. I wonder if you noticed what I did there at that time, but maybe something to notice in general when you're watching elephants drinking is that some elephants will actually, as they're, sorry, we just had a bit of problem there at King's Camp, but we're back here at Oldonyo. So some elephants, as they're drinking, obviously they have to extend their trunk. There we go, we're back. So look at the one closest to us with the left broken tusk. As it's sucking up, yeah, it drinks, and then it'll drop its trunk back down. So some elephants have like a pretty good amount of control as they drop their trunks back down to get another drink, and some just don't at all. Some drop it down like it's a floppy appendage that has or that they have zero control over, like the one at the back. It's a very subtle difference, but I like watching the ones that just kind of send it out of control. Um, yeah, you can interpret that however you like, but some of them just drop it in like, you can't see my arm, but I'll have to show you on Thursday during wild moments. That's what I love about the more we spend time with animals, is the more you start to pick up these really small differences in the way that they go about life. Things that I like to attribute to their personalities. And for a lot of my life, well, not a terribly long time, but for the portion where I was working as a scientist, animals we knew patterns, but we are doing research. So it was, we were not focused on the individuality of animals. And there's a reason why, um, you know, generalizations and averages matter, because sometimes they can be representative of a population, and that's really important when you only have just a small sample, right? But the more we get to spend time with a whole lot of different individuals in a natural setting, the more you notice these little individualities, parts that are their personality, their preferences. And I love that. Some elephants might use, the right tusk to break branches more than the left. We did discuss this whole right-handedness, left-handedness a couple of weeks ago. And I said to you that humans are one of the very few species that display this kind of preference, and the only placental mammal that does so. The only other animal that really shows this kind of preference, or is a kangaroo, who shows a preference toward left-handedness. But in elephants, they do show some preference, but definitely not to the extent that we do. Those, ooh, wow, what an excellent example of perceiving a potential threat, or maybe not sure what it is and reacting anyway. That elephant picked up his head, very strong, or her head rather, very strong, very dominant, turned its back. It turned its back to whatever it felt threatened by, and then walked backwards. I wonder what it could have been. I wonder if it was that elephant. There's something else going on here. Note how not everybody is reacting. It's just those that are behind the bush that are having this interaction. Now look how big that individual is that has come in. I think that, so that looks like an elephant bull. See how he towers over everybody else. And he's come from this camera side, which is why the elephant that we were watching reacted strongly, didn't turn around, but moved backwards, like reversed, back to the rest of the herd. I think that was some thunder in there too. I think there's actually at least two bulls that have come through here now. And that can cause that kind of disruption. Now, if it was a predator, so what I was saying before, when I said note how only some are reacting and not the rest, that tells me it's not a predator and it's not an actual immediate threat. Otherwise, everybody would be on the same page. But they are reacting to the presence of a bull coming through. Sometimes you might see this as well if like a mum is reacting to her calf falling over or something like that. That means that that problem only really concerns her and maybe her immediate family that are just around her. So not everyone would react to it. And it's the same with this elephant bull. An elephant bull coming through is not really going to disrupt the adolescents here. They're going to carry on. And I think that's what we just watched. Karo, exactly. You say, yikes, not happy. Not happy, and then suddenly everything's okay. I can definitely hear thunder, and you can see those gray clouds coming through, right? That's not going to be a problem for the elephants. I don't know what wavelength thunder is, but I wouldn't be surprised if elephants can a little more sensitive to those sounds than even we are. But this is not a problem for the elephants because elephants love water and they're water dependent. And the sound is associated with storm and rain. So this is a good thing. In fact, there are many accounts of elephants even moving towards storms, especially during the dry season, so a time when, it's really important that they do find water and maybe they're a little bit desperate. But there are accounts of elephants moving towards storms from great distances. So they can pick up those rumbles from the sky. and know that water is coming. Hey, Mufasa, you've jumped on as well. You say hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We've been really, really lucky. Today, we're 25 minutes into our time together, and we've had elephants all over. We've had actually lots of animals. East African oryx, zebras, giraffe, and elephants abound. Darkmane Lover, you say you could watch Ellies drink water all day. I know, I could too. In the dry season, just sitting at a water hole is the best viewing. Not racing around trying to find sightings, but just sitting at a water hole. There have been times where I've spent an entire game drive just sitting at a water hole. And I've seen elephants come down, rhinos, vervet monkeys. There was one time I was actually just sitting one of these days where I was like, whoa, it's too hot. It's too early during the game drive, afternoon game drive. I'm just gonna sit at this water hole until it gets cooler and darker. And I saw a leopard come to the water hole. And what I loved about that was that I didn't then go and follow the leopard. I just watched, sat and watched. The leopard didn't even notice us because we're not moving. We're kind of parked, obscured by a tree. It is the best. And the amount of elephants that come down to drink. Oh, it's amazing. Got some of the adults talking now, being very still. Well, the kids kind of don't care. Just having a snack, having a drink. And a couple rascals at the back there, tussling. They are very therapeutic to our souls, Darkmane Lover. I think my best sightings I have ever had has been with elephants. It feels different. I mean, it's a difficult thing to explain. Now that is thunder, not the elephants. But usually when I'm in a sighting and you're with any animal, they don't seem to notice you. They react to your presence, but they don't seem to notice you as an individual looking at them. And if they do, there's times when leopards will walk past and very close to the vehicle and will look up into my eyes. But they're kind of looking and then carrying on. There's not you don't feel like they have actually seen you or noticed you. But with elephants, it's different. From the very moment I saw my first elephant in a natural setting like this, and that elephant was close enough for me to feel that, I felt it. That they recognize you, they're seeing you, and in a way they're communicating with you directly. Whether it's angry at you being there, or giving you a little bit of a warning, or saying, hey, my calf is near you, I'm watching you. There's a bit of a connection that seems directed at you. And I haven't noticed that in other animals. However, I found that the more time you spend with specific individuals, coming back to this personality thing and connection, familiarity, I guess, more than anything, I started to notice that in other animals too. It just didn't happen as quickly as it happens with elephants. The next animal I started to notice that with was hyenas, because I had to spend so much time with the same individuals. And then I started to notice it with leopards, especially if I was seeing a specific individual very, very often, like daily. But it takes more time to develop that familiarity than it does with elephants. But that is, of course, just my personal experience. But definitely adds to the reason I like to spend a lot of time with them. Feels like you know them and that they know you. Well, most of the herd has moved off now. I actually wasn't paying too much attention to those bulls that came in. Generally, big bulls that are not interested in mating and are actually just here because they want to have a drink. They tend to have a drink and move on. They really don't. They do what they need to do. If their intention was to have a swim and everyone else is still at the waterhole, they will come in here and they will have a swim and everyone else must move off. And if they intended just to have a drink, they have their drink and they move off too. Guys, it's almost like they see us. They're very hesitant on this side. It's interesting because at first they were drinking from here and it wasn't a problem. Oh, hey, Amber Cove! Thanks for joining us. It's no worries that you're late. Oh, you're late checking in. That's okay. I kind of always know that you're there in the background. And thank you for those wonderful words. I love spending time with animals, but I especially love being able to express my appreciation for them to all of you. How quickly things can change. There was a lot of uproar about the presence of the bulls coming through. There was the thunder. Everything seemed so chaotic. And now suddenly, everything's super peaceful again. That's basically life in the wild. Moments of absolute chaos and moments of just normal, just living peaceful, going about daily business, ups and downs. And that goes for resources too. Hello. Hello. Now, this is not generally something I like to use to sect elephants, but the forehead is an easy way. But different. For example, I have a cleft chin, and most people don't. So there's lots of variation in just general animals' bodies. So using the shape of the forehead is not like the most scientific way to determine a sex or the sex of an elephant, but sometimes it's really obvious. And that cow that came in, the bigger cow that came in, she had a super boxy forehead, and so does this one. And bulls of the same size are much rounder. The problem is that young bulls also have a boxy forehead. When I say boxy, look across there at that female that's walking through. It's very square. With males or bulls of the same size, it's quite rounded. Everyone's having a merry old time now. Oh, it's been really heating up across South Africa. And I mean, for us, oh, you can see how windy it is as well there. For us, basically, once winter ends, our spring is not very mild. Kind of jumps straight into summer, which I love. So it would have been super hot in the Lowveld over the last month or so. So I'm sure that these elephants are appreciating the wind, the overcast weather, and the promise of rain with these clouds. Anyway, if you didn't know, we do have a new camera at Selinda Reserve in Botswana. It's called Oxbow. And I'd love to go and visit it because I haven't seen it yet. There we go. Now I wonder why it's called Oxbow, and now I'm wondering if it is an Oxbow Lake. Hopefully we'll be able to get Oh, it is. Thank you, Chris. And here we have some piles of muddy stones. No, they're not. They're hippos, of course they are. If you're wondering what an Oxbow Lake is, I have to tell you because I just remembered that I knew what it was. It's one of those things you learn as a child, and it either sticks in your brain or it doesn't. But as a river winds and it makes an S shape, sometimes those S bends can be so pronounced and so sharp that they can actually touch. Can you imagine that happening? It almost makes like an infinity sign. So most or the majority of lakes are not getting that kind of curve, but some of them do, and it ends up in this infinity sign, and then little pockets kind of bud off. Oh, sound of a fish eagle. And those are called Oxbow Lakes because they've now removed themselves from the actual river. And then you get these little oases. Oh, might we have a jacana there? What is that? This is a super cool cam. Chris, I would love to see how wide we could go so I can have a nice view of what's happening around the camera. Things are really green here, as they tend to be in Botswana. And of course, near an area like this, being it's in Oxbow Lakes, that means that there's a river running through, or there is a river very close nearby. It means that there's a lot of water in the ground. So it makes complete sense that it would be nice and green. Oh, there we go. This is what I wanted to see. Wow. Isn't that lovely? One thing that I love about this waterhole already is that it's a natural formation waterhole. Now, a lot of the waterholes that are especially around lodges are man-made. Lodges don't generally come in. Oh, and is that a buffalo? Hello. I love how I just put my hands over like above my eyes to try and block the sun, but I'm watching from a screen. I just remembered that. Nice little buffalo chomping around there. So this is a natural lake, or a natural water hole. And those that are around lodges don't go and find water holes and then go and build lodges near them. Or they might find little water holes and then they tend to maintain it and make them bigger because obviously that's attractive to people who are staying at lodges. Now, I don't think it's a good or a bad thing, it just is. I think that it's really good that we could create little oases for animals. And that means that they have an area to come through to, that can be maintained, and that, when water levels are super low, when we're having a bad dry season, any kind of drought, then it means that we have control over filling up those water holes and we can really help. But then we also then must not um, try and pretend that they're natural water holes. They're not. A lot of them, like dams are dams, they're man-made dams, but they are still very beneficial to wildlife. And I think it's important to recognize that we're not outside of it. So little things like creating dams, um, creating water holes, I mean, it's helpful. We're part of nature too. If it's well thought out, then it can work beautifully. But this one here is absolute naturally created waterhole, and I love that. And I wonder if things look different, if there's any sort of thing we can notice that is different about this one compared to the others, apart from the actual, shape, growth, formation, because that's pretty obvious. You can see that there's, hello, buffalo. You can see from the way that the grass kind of grows all the way into the area. It's because the grass seeds are used to being in that area, so they sprouted up when they weren't covered in water. You'll see other types of growth around here, maybe, but those are pretty obvious. But I'm thinking about animal behavior. If elephants come down here, do they do they react differently? I can tell you that I haven't seen a buffalo chomping grass with, its ankles in the water, but that's also just a function of the way that water holes, man-made water holes and dams are. I mean, also soil type would be different. Because this is an oxbow lake, it means that the soil type will be pretty much the same as what the river was, um, as opposed to, say, man-made dams or pans right outside a lodge. Then it's basically whatever soil is there. It's also very, very peaceful, which I like. Oh, isn't that picture perfect? The water glistening so romantically. Very inviting, right? So I guess so far, oh, if you've seen Oxbow already, then this is not your first introduction, but I think this was an excellent introduction to it. We know that there's a nice pile of resident hippos there that have a great big expanse of water all to themselves, and they can go across to the river whenever they like. So this is an absolute haven for the hippos. And I can't wait to see what bird life you guys capture here at Oxbow. And that's 42 cameras for us here at Africam, and that means 42 cameras for all of you. Isn't it just fantastic? I love it. I love that we have access in an unintrusive way to 42 different locations across Africa. Well, everyone, I hope that you had a wonderful time jumping the cams with me, cam hopping. And I will see you all on Thursday for Wild Moments. Do join us. Thank you for keeping me company, for your questions and your comments. And thank you so much for being curious about the natural world. That makes me very, very happy. All right, go forth, carry on your day wherever you are in the world, and thank you so much for joining us. See you again next time.